In today's video, we are going to take a look at the past and present attempts and endeavors of science aimed at finding extraterrestrial life. But before that, thank you for all the views, likes and subscriptions, all those keep the channel going. The earliest active attempts at finding extraterrestrial life could be dated to the second half of the 19th century when telescopes became powerful enough to track the features of the planets which are located the closest to Earth with decent enough precision. The so-called Martian channels are a well-known example, with claims made these were an artificial structure created by the Martians. And while later discoveries, including Mars landing with unmanned missions in recent decades, proved this claim to be false, the idea itself kindled the search for the future to come. An honorable mention here also goes out to none other than the famous physicist Nikola Tesla, who thought he detected radio signals from Mars in 1899. The 20th century brought the advent and development of various kinds of radio astronomy. It was in 1960 when Project Ozma launched as the first modern SETI experiment and used a radio telescope located at the Green Bank Observatory in West Virginia, which observed the nearby stars of Tau Ceti and Epsilon Eridani in the spectral range characteristic for chemical bonds present in water molecules. Year 1971 saw the Project Cyclops venture funded by NASA and using the array of 1500 radio telescope dishes. This project was not launched in the end, but provided the basis for future searches. One of such searches was the program run by Ohio State University using the Big Ear radio telescope located in the United States. While conducting its search in the constellation of Sagittarius, it observed one of the most famous signals in the history of radio observations of the skies. On the 15th of August 1977, the telescope was recording its signals as usual, with signal intensity recorded as numbers for normal intensity ranges, and if this was exceeded, the signal intensity was then labeled using letters. Normal observations included signal intensities in the 1 to 5 range, with the occasional small spikes above that level. That particular day yielded a signal containing the sequence 6EQUJ5, lasting 72 seconds. With the astronomer Jerry R. Eman labeling it as WOW on the printout of the results, thus yielding the signal its famous name. The intensity of the WOW signal sparked fervor as both its intensity and duration hinted at the possibility of an artificial source. One notable feature was the fact that this signal has not repeated since in the same location. Possible explanations include reflections from space debris which could have intensified the signal, the so-called interstellar scintillation, which could be compared to twinkling in the visual range in our atmosphere, as well as emissions caused by an advanced civilization. However, without repeated observations, all those hypotheses remain unverified to this day. Another effort worth mentioning was the SETI at Home project, which used data collected by the Arecibo radio telescope and processed by computers of thousands of volunteers willing to share their computing power with the scientists, with the signals being analyzed for frequencies and intensities. Over the 20 years of its existence, the project raised a few cases in which the possibility of an alien involvement was taken into account as a possibility, but because of the lack of statistical significance, all those candidates were dismissed as not good enough to qualify. In 2020, the project was eventually put on indefinite hiatus due to the lack of convincing results. Despite the efforts of numerous projects in the field of radio astronomy, all of them have failed to produce results which could be deemed meaningful from the standpoint of extraterrestrial signatures. Currently, there are two main trends in the field of search for extraterrestrial intelligence. The first one is spearheaded by the powerful James Webb Space Telescope. Its powerful arrays of detection systems are able to observe the atmospheres of distant exoplanets, or planets orbiting the distant solar systems, and record their spectral characteristics, namely the radiation signatures formed by and thanks to the presence of various chemical elements and compounds in the atmosphere. The one discovery by JWST, which sparked the most speculation regarding the possibility of alien life, happened in September 2023. As the telescope observed an exoplanet named K218b, 8 times the mass of the Earth and orbiting a cold dwarf star K218 located 124 light-years from Earth, first observed by in 2015 by the Kepler Space Telescope in the constellation of Leo. The planet lies in the habitable zone of its parent star, namely in the range of distances from the star which guarantee temperature levels adequate for the existence of carbon-based life as we currently know it. The excitement comes from the fact that the mighty telescope observed an atmospheric spectrum of the planet which shows the presence of compounds present in our earthly atmosphere, especially early on in its development, methane and carbon dioxide. Additional constituents also hint that the atmosphere is rich in hydrogen and the surface of the planet may be covered in oceans. If that was not enough, the spectrum also indicates the possibility that the chemical compound named dimethyl sulfide is present in the atmosphere. This particular compound is considered by the scientists to be a strong biosignature indicator, as its presence is usually related to the presence of biological organisms. On Earth, it is emitted by bioplankton, for example. This find, however, is not considered definite and requires further studies and corroboration, while it yields hope for a more solid confirmation of at least microbial life being present on K218b. Another area of study and research aimed at the detection of alien life aims at the detection of the so-called technosignatures. Technically, the aforementioned SETI efforts analyzing radio emissions from distant objects in space could fall into that category, as artificial radio emissions are indeed a technosignature. Just to point out our own radio and TV broadcasts, which have been propagating through space for over a century now, and could be theoretically picked up by alien civilizations. Scientists also hope to discover the so-called Dyson spheres. These are hypothetical structures built by advanced civilizations around their host stars, consisting of a myriad of solar panels forming a gigantic sphere, at least partially surrounding the star and collecting vast amounts of energy fueling the civilization's existence. An endeavor named Project Hephaestus has found 7 potential candidates for Dyson swarms, which are partial versions of Dyson spheres around distant stars, with more research to come. This week brought new developments in this particular field. Project Breakthrough Listen, the largest scientific program intended to find alien technosignatures, has announced that it is going to use new telescopes, currently being built in Chile, Africa and Australia, combined with the newest developments in the field of AI, with artificial intelligence algorithms ready to score the data obtained by the telescopes and analyze it for the presence of dimming around distant stars, caused by objects such as the Dyson spheres and swarms mentioned above. In addition to such visual signals, such a powerful kit of scientific equipment could also study radio signals as well as other sections of the electromagnetic spectrum in the received data. I hope this video presented at least a brief overview of the topic. I will be more than happy to cover any related news as they arrive in the future. In parallel, the next video will, and this time for sure, be dedicated to the famous 5 observables and UFO observations. Thank you all, stay tuned, like and subscribe, and see you soon in the next video.